Good afternoon. My name is Robin, Certified Nutrition Specialist, and we're going to talk about how you can grow your own food with ease. And I want to do a little bit of sharing with you where we are nutritionally as kind of a society. And I believe all of us want the best nutrition for our families. And food has changed, and it continues to change over the year, decade after decade, year after year. And so, what I want to say to you all, and so many of you know this, that the food that we eat, because of chemicals and mass production, it's really changed. And as a result of that, our bodies are not getting the prime nutrition that it needs. And with that being said, there's so many illnesses and diseases and things going on, and so much of it has to do with the nutrients that we do not get. Our cells need certain nutrients in order to build, grow, repair, and all of that. And so when it comes to fruits and vegetables, which is highly recommended to flood your body with as much produce as you can, the challenge with the produce that you get from the store is that it's grown from soil that is depleted from a lot of the vitamins and the minerals that our body needs. And so modern agriculture really is stripped from that. Also, when you go to the store and you get your produce, and a lot of people don't know that they're picked before it's vine ripened. And so what that means is that the produce hasn't had all of the nutrition in it. So when you buy it, it's literally less than what you think it is. When you get a tomato, it doesn't have everything in it that a tomato used to have, because they need to pick it before it's ripe so they can sit and wait for you to get it. And so when you grow your own produce, you're getting it ripe, full of nutrition, full of nutrients. The taste is different, and you're securing your own food source. Right now, we're in an interesting time in our society, and there's a lot of food insecurity. I've been growing since 2016, but it just feels like it's more critical than ever with all of the recalls and pesticides and the elephant in the room. I always know that I have produce right at my fingertips to get. The challenge is I never had a green thumb. I never wanted to be out in the soil trying to figure out how to grow. And so when I was when I saw the Tower Garden, I was very intrigued, and all they had to say was, you can't mess it up. It grows with ease. And so when I heard that, I'm thinking, I don't have to get dirty. It waters itself. Like, tell me more. And so I'm going to share with you how it works, why it works, and then we're going to have some other growers share their towers and allow you to ask questions and see if this is something that you want to include in your home with your family. So without further ado, the Tower Garden is a patented vertical aeroponic growing system, and it uses air and water to produce the fruits and vegetables. So there is no soil. And a lot of times people think, well, we need the soil. How does it grow without soil? What you need is the nutrients that are in the soil. And so the creators they created this natural earth mineral tonic solution that's designed for plants and human consumption. So the creator of the tower was the chief horticulturist from Epcot Center. And he's a part of our family now. We talk to him, we see him, he does educational Zooms or classes for us. And so he created the tower so that it was able to produce at a higher level. We know that our land is, a lot of it is used and it's not sustainable. So over 80% of the land is used. With the Tower Garden, this is an easy way to have healthy organic food right inside your house or outside of your home. And it literally is a farmer's market right at your back door. So with aeroponics, so again, that's water and air, it grows stronger, healthier plants. And when I tell you stronger and healthier, you wouldn't believe it unless you started to grow. It grows faster because the roots are exposed to the O2. When I tell you fast, I was talking to a traditional gardener, and they had been trying to grow their tomatoes So we're in August. They've been trying to grow them since March, and ours grows within months or less. It's higher yield. So you're getting a whole lot more produce in a smaller space. 30% average yield higher. The antioxidant, meaning that it's so much vitamins and nutrients more so than out of the ground right now, and less time and less maintenance, less land and less water. Right, I would say this is the, I wouldn't just say, it is the future of urban gardening. The tower gardens are in convention centers and restaurants and universities all across the nation. Schools use them when schools used to go to school back in the olden days, like February, when there was school. And I'm in California, so we don't go to school anymore in the classroom, but was a tool or is a tool for the classrooms. There are, it's just a wonderful experience for opportunity for the children to grow. And when you grow it, you're more likely to eat it and get involved in it. So we have educators all over. Thousands of schools have towers, and we have curriculum to support that. When it comes to what you can grow in the tower, so you can grow anything but root vegetables. So root vegetables being onions, but you can grow chives, you can grow green onions, but carrots and potatoes, anything that has a root, you do not grow from it. And someone asked me the other day, can you grow lemons or apples? So anything that grows from a tree, like no, but anything else, basil, all your greens, cilantro, eggplant, cantaloupe, strawberries, it's endless in what you can grow. So it's awesome. This summer I grew zucchini and bell peppers, and it was wonderful. Anything but root vegetables. So here's some other photos of the towers, and restaurants use them, as I said, grocery stores use them to create fresh produce, and there's just a wide variety of uses. But the bottom line is you can grow and eat for your family. You can grow indoors or outdoors. So there's two different units, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But the important part to know is that if you're growing indoors, you have to have grow lights in order for the produce for it to mimic the sun. What people really want to know is how much is it, and is it affordable? So I'll tell you what it is, but I can also say this. So I purchased mine in 2016, we're in 2020, and I bought it. It's done, I've paid for it. And so now it's just, it's profit. It's like printing my own money, right? Because I'm saving money by not having to spend money at the grocery store for certain vegetables. It's designed to work, built to last. It's food grade plastic that it's made from, and the parts are warranted. So as I mentioned to you, there are two towers, a tower flex and a tower home. On the left is the tower home, which means it grows inside. It's smaller and it's designed more for greens and herbs. The tower flex is bigger, goes outside, and can grow tomatoes and cucumbers and squash and all kinds of things. So the possibilities are just vast and endless between the two. Who would use one versus the other? So if you can grow outside, my recommendation is to grow outside. But there are some people who live in apartments or live in New York where they don't have the space, so they're growing inside. Or the weather is cold, they're growing inside. So the cost of the tower, so let me tell you this, everything that you need to grow comes with the tower. The seeds, the pump, the minerals, everything that you need to get started is in there. So the tower is 12 payments of $56.67, interest free, and that is also with shipping. So that's all complete, packaged up and sent to your door, and you don't have to pay for it first before they ship it. So as soon as you put you order it and you pay $56.67, your tower is coming, and then you just pay the $56 plus a month until it is paid off, which is a year. You can pay it off early if you want. You can pay it in full if you want. However you want to do that. There's interest free. There's no penalties, and there is a 90-day money back guarantee with the tower. So when I heard that, I'm super frugal. That felt affordable for me because I already spend that amount of money every month or more on produce. So why not just invest in myself and my food and my safety? And it made sense to me. So in the tower, you can grow 20 different full-size plants, fruits, herbs, and flowers. So 20 different things, or 5 of the same things, whatever you want to do, but there are 20 ports that you can use to grow. The tower home, so the smaller unit, when you're growing inside and you have the lights, the payment, the one I'm quoting you here doesn't have the shipping in it. So with shipping, it comes to 83 something or other. But the one inside, it has lights and more technology and all of that. So that one has a higher price point because it has the lights. You can use that same tower home to go outside if you want to. It's smaller, but that's the difference and the pricing. And we'll certainly open it up to questions. The tower home, you can grow 32 different plants, a lot of microgreens, so smaller herbs. And so that's kind of like a salad tower, an herb tower. So the inside one has to have lights. And if you live in a smaller space, and some people have 2, one inside, one outside, but those are the 2 options for you. Now, I don't know if you can see this slide, but this talks about the money savings. So this says in 6 months, based on the yield of what can come from your tower, the 6-month savings is almost $800. I personally know that I save $60 a month on produce because I added it up for myself. And I have a small family, so we don't grow a lot, but that's the amount that I save a month. So what is that? 60 times 6, $360 every 6 months. That's what I save. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to have some of the tower growers share their experience. So I'm actually going to go to Katie first. Katie, unmute yourself. And are you inside, Katie?
Yeah, I was going to show you guys both, if that's okay.
Absolutely. So Katie, tell us actually how long have you been growing?
Okay, well, this is our 4th year. So it was 4 years in June, actually. So I've had mine. I actually own quite a few, more than most people, because I'm a little crazy.
How many do you have?
I have 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But we've got 3 going right now, and then I use them in other different ways, which is not going to be covered in this call. So this is my indoor one. You can see my pretty basil. I wanted to show you guys. The size of the basil leaves is so crazy to me. My husband's Italian, so we eat a lot of basil. So we started, it took me about a couple of years to say yes to the tower. And the reason why is because I'm a farm girl, and we were doing the whole dirt garden thing. So I can totally speak from that. I grew up with an acre garden. For those of you who don't know, that is a large ass amount of garden. Pardon my French. It is. I mean, it's crazy. But all of our food growing up came from the garden. I still can food with my mom. Everything we ate did not come from like a canned good in the store. We actually made it. So I, had it instilled in me that this was how we needed to do that. And I will say that after 4 years of dirt gardening, guys, this was the first year tomatoes out of my dirt garden. 4 years ago, when we finally said yes to the tower garden, I had tomatoes the first summer. I had cucumbers and tomatoes. If that just tells you, me being I feel like a seasoned farmer, trying, I guess, to work with the obstacles that Robin was talking about, the decrease in soil quality, just the time that it takes to weed and, I remember the first year, like all of our seeds, we had to replant 12 raised beds because we got a torrential rain that we weren't planning on, and it ruined every single bed. So just like those types of things are kind of comical to me, because it took me so long to say yes to the tower because I was intimidated by this thing.
Okay.
And a lot of the gals on this chat know I'm not an intimidated kind of person. My background is a trauma ICU nurse. So it's kind of funny now because, I mean, literally the first year I was growing tomatoes and cucumbers. And my 4-year-old wanted to tell you guys why do you like our tower garden? What do you do?
I like picking lettuce off to make my green shake.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes, he likes to make his green drink.
He loves, and hopefully tell me if my connection gets bad.
Okay, we will. And so you're taking us outside?
Yes, I just want you to see my outdoor. I have 2.
Okay. Now, are they just?
Then you see my dirt garden in the back.
Yeah, I do. And you just started replanting again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, they went through. Yep.
Okay.
So I did early in the summer. I did squash and some more. Just actually a lot of squash. We eat a lot of squash. And then
do you buy produce from the store at all?
Grapes.
Grapes. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. In the Midwest, we don't have grapes like you Californians.
We and I know. Are you going to stick around for a while? Because we want to come back and ask you some questions. Did you want to share any other? I'm going to get the other ones on. But did you want to share with us any other? Because there's some questions that are going to come up. I want to give them the chance to share and then come back and see if you have some questions. So just so you all are listening, Katie grows inside and outside. And then we want to come back and ask you about some things about growing inside. So hang tight. We're gonna come back. So Sherry. Yeah, you and your mom look just alike. So yeah. Sherry, let's see your tower, and then how long have you been growing? And just share with us just how your experience is.
Okay. Hey, great morning, everybody. So I'm up in Truckee, California. I'm Sherry Gerber.
Oh, you're muted. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Go ahead.
Is that better?
Yes.
You might see my kitten running around here a little bit too. So here's the funny thing. If you're worried about, animals in the tower garden, they really want nothing to do with it. But my cat likes to take the cover off of the tower garden and play with that a little bit, but that's about it. Yeah, so living in the High Sierra, it's kind of like we have this really short growing season. Mm-hmm. So the tower garden made sense to me right away. I live where I could have a garden in the ground, but it would be so much work. We're on a sloping lot that I've always kind of just done container gardening on my deck. Mm-hmm. And so I got the tower garden Flex in 2012. And the first year I planted 15 tomatoes in it, which was a mistake.
Right.
You don't need that many. It took over the whole deck. It was kind of like the monster tower garden. But I was so excited to actually finally be able to grow tomatoes and harvest tomatoes. So now I've got, like, you could kind of see down here, I've got 2 tomato plants, and I've got some beautiful heirloom tomatoes that are about to ripen. And I got the tower garden home in January of this year. I love having it indoors. It could be snowing and cold and just miserable outside, but I'm sitting next to the tower garden with my lights, getting light therapy. And I used to spend at least $5 a week on a box of mixed greens from the grocery store. That's the other thing that really bothers me, is how much plastic is in all the produce that we buy from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I've completely replaced that, and then some. I know my tower gardens at this point have paid for themselves over and over. And it really bothers me buying commercial produce, even if it's organic. You just don't know what's on it or where it's been. And I know that this is very safe. I love the herbs. I love growing basil and chard and kale. For me, growing up at 6,000 feet, it's been a godsend.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're gonna have Elizabeth share and then answer you all's questions about the tower, and then we'll move on to our phase 2, which starts for actual growers. That'll kick on soon. So Elizabeth, where are you, Elizabeth? Unmute you.
Hey there, here I
Did you
am.
shorten it?
Did I shorten it?
Yeah, you took all the extensions off of it.
Oh no, this is the
Oh, that's the
Tower
home.
Garden home. This is
Okay.
the home,
That's a
the
smaller
one
one.
right here. Well, I'm
Okay.
just starting with it because I just, like Katie was sharing about how huge her basil leaves are. Look at this kale. Look at this kale. I
Wow.
am gonna have kale chips tonight, and
Wow.
I didn't harvest yet because I wanted to show you guys. Here's all the kale, and I never ate kale before I started growing it. Well, I ate it some in a restaurant, but now that I can grow it, and it's like the gift that keeps on giving. I have 3 different kinds of kale: Russian kale, curly kale, and I make kale chips in the air fryer with it.
Oh, wow.
I made a list of everything that I'm growing currently just to give you guys an idea of what is growing on these towers. And this is the outdoor tower that's got the tomato plants going. But right now I've got kale, cilantro, basil, parsley, chives, mint, lettuce, dill, celery, Swiss chard, rainbow Swiss chard, romaine, leaf lettuce, green beans, strawberries, spaghetti squash, zucchini, cherry tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, red lettuce, bunching onions, spinach, rosemary, and arugula. I made a list so I wouldn't forget any of it. There's a nice tomato coming. Here's the green beans. I love green beans growing. And look, they're just right under the leaves. I think that's so cool. And I have to show you because I'm so excited. I don't even think these plants are a month old. These are my strawberry plants. And look, y'all, I have a strawberry. Is that the sweetest thing in the world? And then I also like to grow some red leaf lettuce for the color, and basil. And the spinach leaves are huge. And like Teddy said, I love throwing those in my smoothies. So, and the bunching onions and celery. You haven't had celery until you've had celery out of a Tower Garden.
Yeah,
It tastes
we
so
grew
good.
celery. We
Yeah.
grew celery as well. So what I want to do, thank you all for sharing. What I want to do is
But let me just finish one thing, Robin, to show the size difference.
oh,
So the one on the right is the home edition without the lights on it. The one on the left is the regular tower with an extension and a microgreen extension on it.
wow.
Okay.
So awesome. Thank you for the comparison. So what I want to be able to do is answer questions for the guests that are here. If you are a grower, then at about 12:30, we're going to have all of our grower questions for those of you who are currently, there's stuff going on in the background, that are currently growing. We're going to have our grower questions. But for those of you who are not a grower and you have particular questions, this is a great time. You can type it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and answer or ask specific questions. What about this, or what about bugs, or what? So go ahead, I'll let you guys ask, and then we'll answer for you. Now don't be shy, or you can be shy, but any questions? Because I know questions that people, can y'all hear all of that static in my background? You can? No, you cannot. Any questions from the guests that we have? Okay, so here's some things that I know people want to know that maybe you don't know to ask, but there's questions about, well, what about bugs? And so, there is a question in here, I'll answer. Yeah. With bugs, there's natural ways to mitigate bugs, and I've learned that I know now what to tell you guys of how to mitigate them first. But one of the things I just recently learned about ants, because I had more ants this year, is they don't like cinnamon, and they really don't like cayenne pepper. So I've sprinkled cayenne pepper around the basin and around the top of the tower so that they didn't eat those. Here's a question. What about the water? When it gets very hot outside, does the pump, does the water temp get too hot? Any of our tower buddies want to take that answer or question about when it's hot? Because it was hot here. Go ahead,
I
Valerie.
will.
Oh, go
I
ahead,
will.
Elizabeth.
I freeze a water bottle and have that at the ready if I need it to help bring the temperature down in the tower itself. Learn that from somebody.
Yeah, so we learned it from Buffy to put frozen water bottles in it. You know what I've been doing? I was doing the frozen water bottles, but the problem is I would forget and just leave them in there, and I didn't want to do that. She also said you could do mason jars. So put the mason jars in the freezer, freeze them, and then put the lid on, and then put them in the tower. And then when it got too hot, I would just dump ice in it. I made that up myself, but I would just dump ice in it every now and then. And so we managed through this 117. I was able to keep growing. My lettuces worked better. My cucumbers didn't like the heat, but the lettuce went well. Thanks for that question. Any other questions for the non-grower folks? And again, in about 4 minutes, we're gonna turn to a different.
What was the first chat one? Was that for a grower?
These are for non-growers. The next about 4 minutes are growers, the people that are already growing. We're gonna get on and talk. So and those of you that are non-growers, you can listen in because it's a learning opportunity too, to hear what the growers are saying and the challenges and all of that stuff. So that's a good place to be. But we wanted to make sure that we had this first segment for people who were not growing yet to learn more about what it takes to grow and about the tower. So are any other questions coming out of the non-growers that you want to know about the tower?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So you still have to plant, now I'm in Southern California in Redlands. So do you still have to plant seasonal stuff, or can you plant things year round that you typically wouldn't in the ground, say like tomatoes? Or is that just a summertime thing and you only grow it in the summer? And strawberries and whatever.
My SoCal growers, do you want to take that? Elizabeth, I know you can answer that.
Yeah, I just put those strawberry plants in. Those are fall strawberries. And so I'm pretty excited to see how that goes. And because you always have the option of growing inside as well, like Katie was showing, you can grow anything. Basil, I know, doesn't like real cold weather. So you know, it's hard to grow that outside in the winter time. But, and I guess, you know, I've been able to grow lettuce year round.
Yeah,
So
we can grow lettuce
I'm in
year-round.
Costa Mesa, and I've never had a problem, you know, where I can't get lettuce to grow. Spinach can be a little finicky in the summer. I mean, in the winter. It's thriving right now, as is the Swiss chard.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Elizabeth.
No, did that answer your question?
Did that answer? So you can grow all year around, and what happens is that when you get your tower, the seeds that they give you are mostly the lettuces, which they give you the seeds that you can grow all the time and the easier of the plants to grow. And then I always tell new growers, please start off with the easiest plants and then start to do more of the tomatoes, because this is the thing, people want to start in, and this is just my opinion, people want to start in with tomatoes and all of the viney plants, and that is okay eventually, but it's more work. They take more water, they vine, they do other things. So I say start off with the lettuces, get growing with those, and then start venturing out. We have a vendor that sells seedlings, and she has the ones that grow best in that particular season. So if it's the fall, you only can buy from her or any of the vendors fall seeds and fall plants. So you're growing all year round. I'm about to right now start switching over to the fall plants, which would include like broccoli and some other things. I don't even know what all the fall plants are. She just has a list of them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want this type of kale, and I just pick from what is available. But
she has another question in the chat. You can grow, you don't have to have seedlings. You can grow from seeds And I think it's Baker Farms. I don't know if Katie's still on the chat or not. She turned me on to their seeds, and they're great seeds. I
put it in the chat.
Oh, okay, perfect for that person that was questioning.
Yeah.
I personally like growing from seed most of everything.
Oh, you grow from
rather
seeds?
rather than seedling. The
Okay.
only other thing I think we didn't go over, and Katie, you can correct me if I'm not right, but what I've learned is if you're going to grow inside, you need to start your seedlings inside,
Yes.
not outside,
Not outside.
because you'll bring the bugs from outside inside.
Let me answer this question, and then we're gonna kind of switch over to the growers. But those of you that are non-growers, please stay. You'll just learn extra things. But as far as the seedlings and where you get them from, so you don't have to. Tower Garden doesn't sell plants. They don't sell plants. So when you're getting your plants and your seedlings, you have to get them from outside vendors. When you get the tower, it comes with seeds that is a part of the tower. But anything after that, if you're wanting to grow different things or you have to get them from an outside vendor. Now, what I've heard, the Tower Garden Company recommends certain vendors, but you can buy the seeds and seedlings from anybody you want to. But what I just recently heard from another grower who got their seeds from like Home Depot, they said they weren't the same. They didn't work out well for them. So I only buy my seeds and seedlings from the people that they recommend. If you're in SoCal, there's a lady in Temecula which sells seedlings, and she ships them out, or we go pick them up, and that's who I buy from. But Elizabeth she has a different people that she buys from, and she's in Orange County, and then Katie's in the Midwest somewhere. So
Yes.
What I want to do now is our growers are starting to hop on, and so we want to be true to what hey Buffy. So this now is shifting for our growers, for people that are already growing, and we like to have this conversation because as growers, we just want to learn and talk, and we want to support our new growers as well. So for those of you who are not quite growing yet, stay on, listen in, because you'll find out other things this way from the growers. And how I want to start this conversation, welcome to our growers that are popping on, is it's the fall. So what we're going to talk about is maintenance. So now you have your tower and you're growing, and when should you tear it down and replant and everything. So we have some, and actually, Buffy, I'm going to bring you in a second because I know you're out there cleaning your tower. What I want to say to you you tower folks, I want to take you to the blog if I can. On the blog, well, I'm not going to take you there. Let me just say there's a blog, and if you're part of our tower community, you have access to it. I encourage you to go to the blog. I send out a link to all of my Tower Garden customers. There's a phenomenal blog that tells you how to manage pests and all of that, and just anything you want to know. We come together once a month in this format, but in the middle of the time, we want to make sure that you have access to resources. So with that being said, let's talk about maintaining the tower, cleaning the tower, and what it takes to, keep your tower nice and beautiful. I want to say this before I open it up to Buffy, is what I've been told, and actually my grower groups chime in if I'm saying something that is different from your experience or something else. I was told that it's good to change your water out every 3 months. That doesn't mean you have to tear it down. There's a clear tube that is provided when you get the tower, and you just pump the water out and you refresh your water about every 3 months. And then we tear it down now let me ask this to you guys, to my growers. Do you tear yours down every season, or do you tear it down every 6 months? I tear mine down every 6 to 9 months, or take it apart, not tear it down, but take it apart. Can you, Debbie?
Once a year.
Oh, you do it once a year? Really? Oh, well, shoot. See how we're learning something? I might do what you do, because I don't want to do it every 6 months.
Okay, Robin, if
Yeah.
I could just chime in, it really depends on the quality of your water. Here in Southern California, I'm near Anaheim, and Anaheim has the hardest water in all California. And
Oh.
so your 3-month water change,
Mm.
that sounds like an excellent idea.
Oh.
And then when taking your tower, when you do a new crop, definitely, in my opinion, you would break it all down where we are because of how, and I'm using an RO system, but what I'll show you today is I have the schools towers that are not on an RO system.
What is RO?
With their, so reverse osmosis water. So it's a cycle, it's a filtration that water can go through. Some people have RO systems in their home for drinking water.
Okay.
And so instead of buying bottled water all the time, you
Mm.
can have, I can show you, but so then there's a system also that is an external system that you can connect to your water outlet, and it can go through the filtration. And that's what I use for my tower, and it makes the cleanup process a lot easier because it takes a lot of the mineral deposits out of the water. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I
So
don't.
an example,
Go ahead, show
an
us-
example is I'm going to show you, let me see if I can get the school's pump. So
So
give me
you're
a
at
minute.
the school.
Does that make the water
no,
alkaline, Buffy?
you know what, it's a great question. I have added filters to our in-house system to make it more alkaline. And that's a whole nother, you know, category of what is actually being used to make your water alkaline. So, but the RO system takes a lot of the junk. It takes everything out of your water actually. And so it's pure water. And so because there's a lot of minerals that come in water. But now because our water is so polluted, we've got a lot of bad things in our water system as well. And so if you really get deep into it, you can add minerals to replace what you're not drinking in your water, because everyone's drinking filtered water, right?
Yeah.
But let me see if I can flip the camera. And so here's the top of the school tower that did not get washed every day.
Okay.
So if you can see like where the lid goes, the difference in the white.
Uh-huh.
So for new growers, experienced growers, it is really important that you wipe down your tower all the time, because once this yellowing happens, it's downright near impossible to get it white again as when you first purchase a tower. And I actually spray painted mine. And because I didn't paint it in the right, I didn't prep it properly, when I soaked it, do you see the chips of paint that have come off?
Mhm.
You see what I mean? So it's really, really important that you hose down and wipe down your tower, because if not, it's just awesome yellow stuff going on. It's not good. So the other thing too is you see here, this is a solar panel filter, and it got roots in it and everything. And so what I'm going to do is take that apart, and you're going to see some massive yellow calcification going on. And because again, the school water is not filtered. And that what I wanted to show you, and Robin, stop me when you need to stop me. But as you can see, this side has been cleaned. I've had these soaking in this vinegar dish soap water bath for a week.
A week.
And so a week.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the reason for that is because when I take my tower apart, I want it to be easy when I wash it. And so I'm going to show you tools that I use that have helped me along the way to make this process a lot easier. I've got a kiddie pool. As you can see, the whole base will fit underneath water, right? Because this part of the tower does not fit in, you can flip it over, but it's still not going to get down in this level down here when you're soaking it, because you're going to get some, again, Southern California, our water is really bad. You're going to get buildup right around here, right? And so having this kiddie pool has been a game changer for me. The other tools I like to use, this is an $8 brush at Amazon. And this handle comes out like a straw cleaner. And so you can see that wonderfulness? But watch, it's just gonna wash right off because I've been having it soak, okay? The other thing, not every customer is this detail oriented and really cares about how clean they get.
I soak for a day or two, and my
Yeah.
tower, however it goes.
Yeah, you can soak it for a day or two, and if you're using a vinegar dishwashing liquid, it should come right off. But this, okay, so a metal skewer, or not metal, a wooden skew stick, or for like skewers.
Uh-huh.
This is the straw cleaner,
Uh-huh.
kitchen sponge, and then having a nozzle on my hose because I can keep the water on and just rinse when I need to rinse off, like really quick, right?
Uh-huh.
This is basic information, may not be necessary, but this little tool, the wooden, you know, you can use a toothpick, but this is a lot thicker. It gets right in there in those crevices and they're brand new again.
Wow.
And if I'm going to take the time to clean my towers, I want them to look brand new again, right? And I want them to be totally clean because I don't want anything affecting the growth of my crop.
There's a question that is coming in that I want to field out. I'm gonna do the question, but I want to say that thank you for that, Bubby. Wait, so you take yours apart like that every 6 months, or how often do you fully take it apart?
Every time I'm going to do a new crop
You do.
is when I take it completely apart. And if I'm doing that consistently and I'm using filtered water, and you know what, you don't have to have an RO system. You can get an RV filter, attach it to your hose, and that's going to filter out a lot of the junk that's in our water. Now, again, I don't know how the water supply is in other states,
Right.
but here in California, especially Southern California, water is a big issue with all the mineral deposits that's in it.
And
Yeah.
the RV filter you can actually get at Walmart. You get 2 of them for $30 or $40 or something like that. So
Oh.
they're inexpensive, and you just go to like the camping section and they'll have it there.
Yeah. Okay, great information. Let me give you a question that came in. So when the plant is full effect, I'm just reading, how do you cut the roots without taking the whole thing apart off each port? So when the plant is in full effect, how do you cut the
I don't.
roots without taking the whole thing apart? So
I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll do my reverse camera and I'll
okay,
take out one of my plants here. That's the question about the roots, right?
right.
So I just take it out like that and then I trim the root there.
How often?
Every 2 weeks for sure.
Okay.
My mint I do every week
Hmm.
because they really go bananas.
You,
But,
Debbie's messaging. Hold on.
pull it out of the port and then you can get rid of the
Root.
extra root.
You know, and I'll
Buffy, thank you.
Oh, go ahead. What I know, Debbie, I'm gonna come to you. What I love about this is everybody does something a little different and we each learn, because I am that one person, depending on what your personality is. I don't mess with my tower very much. I water it every now and then. I don't clean it all the time. I don't cut the roots like that all the time. So I love these tips because I learned. But if you are a person that is just, if you're like really methodical and clean, these are absolutely wonderful people to learn from. And if you are like, I don't want to do much, then take my route because I don't do much. But Debbie wanted to say something. Oh, I want to say this about my roots. I actually don't do that. I just reach under the bottom and pull them from the basin. But that may not even be a good idea. I'm not sure. So Debbie, you were
Robin, when you do that with the roots, do you ever have experience with root rot?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so the other thing that was recommended to me was during the night hours to have the cycle 30 minutes off, 15 on. During the day, 15 on, 15 off. Has anyone done that?
No, I just leave it. I never change my timer. Never change
So
it.
so I experience root rot. So I'm not sure what but you're in Riverside, right?
Yep.
So it's drier where you are. So
Yep.
then for Elizabeth, you're closer to the ocean. Because you're trimming your roots all the time, I think that, what is your timer on, Elizabeth?
I think it's 15 on, 15 off outside. That's what I do. I don't really typically get root rot because I also am really good about trimming my roots from inside the tank. I don't let them get very long. Robin, you kind of had that with your first one when you had the roots strangled the
Yeah, when I first got the tower, no one told me about the roots, so I never cut them. I just never knew anything about them. So they just grew like crazy, and probably within a year, it strangled my pump. So for those of you who are new growers, we now know what to tell you. But when I was new, nobody told me. So I strangle my pump with all the roots. You can cut them. So like Elizabeth cuts them every couple of weeks. I cut them, actually just pull them. I just go underneath at the basin and I just take them out. That way, Debbie, you were gonna say something.
The only thing I was going to say is, like in the beginning, you were saying if anybody changes their water. I've never changed my water. I've had it in my house for 3 years.
The water
then
in your,
The
okay.
water, yeah, I change it. And when I take it down, I'll change the water. But during my growing season, I've never changed the water at all, and they've been great. And the only reason why I start to change it is because I just feel like, okay, it's getting time. So like 6 months, like I try to do it like fall time before it gets too cold, and maybe spring when I'm in Illinois. But when I'm in Florida, I'm like change it whenever, I kind of feel like it, I guess, because I am constantly putting in new plants and old plants, so
Yeah, and out come you.
just putting in some new seedlings. But I do want to say is like it's easier to get rid of to trim your roots if you have those grow clips. When you have those black mini pods that come with, you have to kind of snap them off, and sometimes they'll break. But we have an accessory that's called grow clips, and they're just a thing that you kind of poke in. It looks like a little, like, I don't know, toothpick kind of thing that with a little hanger on it. So those are really easy to pull in and put back in. So that's really good if you're a new grower and you want the ease of. Yes, Elizabeth is showing the grow clips right now.
Yes, okay.
So I have a question about that.
In and out, and that's how you can trim some as well.
So Buffy, before you get to that question, because I'm being the moderator, Valerie, I know you had a question. Right, Valerie? Did I see your hand go up? Okay, go ahead.
So Elizabeth, on the where you purchase your seedlings or seeds, what's the name?
I use SBTG, like Santa Barbara Tower Garden, SBTG seedlings.com. It's run by Karsten Tuttle. He bought it from the company that started it up in Santa Barbara. He stands behind his seedlings. If you get any problems with them, he'll replace them. He is meticulous. He's great at teaching people. He's out in Whittier.
Can you go pick them up directly from him?
Yes, you can. Well, during COVID, check his website. I think you can.
Okay.
He's a sweetheart. He has such a gentle soul. So does Gina, the one that's out in Temecula, but he's just a little bit closer for us.
And he does seeds? And he does the seeds?
Excuse me, darling? Say that again?
You can buy the seeds from him?
Seedlings.
Oh, seedlings. And then seeds? Do you
the
have
little plants.
Where
but
do you buy the seeds?
Seeds. I'm going to go and show you.
Can you type it into the chat where you actually get your
Baker seeds that Katie told us about. Here it is. It is Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds.
Can you type it in the chat?
Yep.
Okay. So that she can
Thank you.
So yeah, so we
You're
have
welcome.
vendors for seeds and then vendors for the seedlings. And then I think Debbie, where were you? Debbie, were you going to say something? Oh, no, it was Buffy. Buffy disappeared. Oh, there you are.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I just, maybe because I've had my crops go longer than I should, I've had the rock wool want to fall apart on me. So has anyone experienced that with the grow clip?
Sometimes they do, but the roots are still, and most they just kind of hang on. So it doesn't matter.
Awesome. Because I have those, I just haven't used them yet. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Any other grower questions from our growers? Anything that you want to know? Oh, someone asked about chlorine in the water. Michelle, are you there? Oh, go ahead, Debbie.
I can tell you about the chlorine if she wants to know. What I do at my parents, or what my parents do, they live in Florida and they have chlorine in their water. So I got them an RV filter for their hose outside. But when they didn't have that, all we did is put water in a bucket and let it sit in the sun overnight. And then we treat it, put it in the tower.
Oh, okay. That's a good answer about chlorine. So if you don't have the filter, just sit it out and it'll fix itself. Okay, perfect. Any other questions from our growers? Any grower questions?
What's everybody planting right now? And seeds wise, what's everyone planting?
I don't know.
I'm giving these strawberries a go. I got like 6 or 8 plants, and I'm gonna see how that works for me this time. I tried it before with just 2, and I think that's not enough to do strawberries. I'm getting ready to pull out my tomatoes because I didn't do a good job this summer in keeping them suckered, so I didn't get as much yield as I have.
Nobody got as much yield this year, Elizabeth.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that right? What do you think that is?
Something
You're not
crazy.
sure, but Gina had the same experience, and she's an expert. So
She's an expert. Right. Well, that makes me feel better.
I
I
thought
thought it was me.
I thought strawberries had to have a different pH than other plants. I was told.
Well,
like,
I'm keeping the pH lower.
Uh-huh.
I'm keeping it lower than I usually do. But I'm trying squash, spaghetti squash for the first time this year. I did cucumbers one year and I just was overcome with them.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I don't think I'll do them for a really long time. But I'm getting my first blossom, which I'm pretty psyched about. Yeah, cucumbers will just keep on going. Cucumbers and then, the spaghetti squash and zucchini I've got.
Yeah, we just started. Here's a question in the chat. What would be the cutoff season for fall? So I'm gonna have you all answer that, but it depends on what state you're in, because our fall is summer still kind of. So what would be the cutoff season for fall is the question that came in the chat.
Right.
Anybody want to take that?
Cutoff season for like planting a pumpkin or something like that. The thing you have to keep in mind with anything viney,
California, the question is.
The fruit is the last part to develop. So that's going to take the longest.
When you say clarify cutoff season, what do you mean by cutoff season? Meaning when you start planting the fall, or what's
Yeah, what would be like so that way that they're maturing enough to withstand the temperature climate and change when it gets really cold? When would be for planting the seeds and transporting them back into the tower, that way they can take off? Like, what would you guys advise? Because this is my 6th month.
You can go to our whoever website that is your Tower Garden person.
She's a team member. She's a
I'm a grower. Okay, so what you can do is you can go on to your the website and you can just Google fall season crops or something like that, and
remember to be specific for the zone that you live in.
And
okay.
It's called the Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah. And then
okay.
Yeah, and if you type in your zip code
area,
it'll tell you what to plant, when to plant, and all of that. Yeah, and then how when to start your seedlings and when to put them in. Yeah, it's called the Farmer's Almanac, and it is on your. You can Google it, but it's in on your tower website somewhere. Like, it's in there somewhere.
Okay.
Great questions, you guys. We have a couple more minutes. Any other questions? So we talked about how to tear it down. Oh yes, go ahead, Valerie.
So I grew tomatoes this last crop, and for some reason I even followed the Tower Gardens. I went on their website and followed recommendations regarding pollinating the flowers with the Q-tip, and I did that. And I only yielded one little small tomato. I had tons of blossoms. It was going along fine, and then within like 3-4 days, they started to just kind of like go away, and then that was it. So then the next flowerings I went and got the Q-tips, and I did research on how to pollinate them myself, because I guess there's less bees pollinating. And so I went and did that, and they still didn't produce any flowering. So yeah, I have mine outside.
Go ahead, Elizabeth. Do you want to say about the tomatoes?
Well, that's very unusual to have something happen like that where it won't. It sounds like you were only having male or female blossoms. You weren't getting both on the plant.
That's what I was reading about. So that's why I was manually pollinating them, and it still didn't work. So
Still wouldn't work.
mm-mm.
You know, that would be something that I would put in the blog or email to Karsten or to Gina, the master growers,
Mhm.
and ask because they have more experience.
Okay.
When growing outside, I never try to pollinate anything. You know, it's live and let live. But and especially since this was a unique year
Mhm.
in that the yields weren't what we usually see.
Okay,
our
yeah, they
plants.
did say that.
Does
that was
anybody know why? Does anybody know why it's not such a good year for planting? Was it the weather or just?
The world is
I don't know. I'm wondering
I
if
know,
it's
right?
something in the environment.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I in the air. I don't think it's anything to do with the water and the minerals. I think it might have something to do with the air quality.
Yeah,
Hate to say it.
it's so unpredictable right now. Yeah,
Mhm.
Especially since we've had several years of really good yield.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I've
something
never,
shifted.
that's it. You guys are phenomenal. You guys, I mean, you guys do, I think I would say exotic things. I grew cucumbers and they were amazing this year, and the zucchini was amazing. But I'm just starting to venture off because I'm literally like, to me, what you guys are saying is like exotic. So I'm like, I'll just stick to my, like you're pollinating with a Q-tip, and I'm like, no. However it grows is how I'm gonna eat it. Let's talk a little bit about bugs a little bit before we go in the last couple of minutes, because I know we have new gardeners on. Oh, I want to say this for the new gardeners. When you start your tower, this is the thing. When we start, we want to fill up all 20 ports, which is great in a sense, but you're gonna grow a lot of produce. And if you can't eat all of that, I don't know that you should grow in all 20 ports, because it literally is gonna grow massive. And what I know from new growers is it's so beautiful and it's so big, and then they don't want to eat it all. And then it's so big you can't eat it all. So what I do now is I do not grow out of 20 ports. I only grow out of 12, because it's a lot of produce. It just is. And if it's just you by yourself, you don't need all that produce. Or maybe you give it to your friends and your neighbors. But I just know new growers start off aggressively, and then they have this big, huge, beautiful tower, and they're like, oh my gosh. And I didn't want to eat from mine because it was like my baby. But now I know. Okay, let's talk about bugs really quick. Any tips, you guys, for I guess my question is, how do you manage your bugs? Because a lot of you guys have been growing and you're doing well. And how do you what's your protocol to mitigate bugs? I'm gonna ask you, Debbie. I know you're in Florida, but I want to ask you, do you have a specific protocol and routine to manage bugs?
Well, I haven't, like, I have here. I just started with, my parents have down here, but what we have used is cayenne pepper.
Yes.
Like we kind of sprinkle it a little bit around, and
Yes.
it seems to help a lot.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I literally just did the cayenne pepper this week, and it changed everything. Like, I've been growing for years and never put cayenne pepper, and that is so simple and so affordable. And I just got neem oil, you guys. I just bought the neem oil for aphids. I haven't used it yet, but the cayenne pepper, like, they don't like cayenne pepper. They don't like it.
And I will tell you, the neem oil has a specific flavor to it, so that you have to wash wash it off, and you kind of spray it on. I would rather do something like that will like powder off or get off a little bit better than the oil.
I smelled this stuff. Nobody told me. I just bought it right now. It smells like somebody's armpit. Honestly, it smells like a dirty person's armpit. That's what it smells like.
I'm going to say something. It's bad. Neem oil is bad. But I am going to say something about aphids if I can. So I'm going to flip. I want to show you. See this kale? It's eaten up by birds. So I bought mylar string, and it's hidden now. It was visible before. It blew off. But mylar string blowing in the wind is going to deter your birds. But this particular kale, I took it out of the tower and took a jet stream on the hose to spray off the aphids. And that did wonders. So a couple of days of just spraying off the aphids might be enough to deter them before going into any product.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize what I heard because we're wrapping it up. So put some cayenne pepper around your base and around the top. Spray, like the first thing to do if you see aphids or bugs or whatever, just wash it off. Dish soap, I hear they don't like that. And then Mylar string for, that's what, I remember you said that. They don't like Mylar balloons. So if you put Mylar string in there, now birds don't like it because birds like to eat kale and I know caterpillars like the kale. So those are some good old tips. It's 1 o'clock, you guys. So any last minute questions before we go? I always want to stay faithful to our.
Where'd you get the Mylar string, Buffy?
Amazon. And I'm
Thank
just going to
you.
put, yeah,